I can't see the reef, but it's there somewhere. I hope this chart is correct. Storm is coming, sun's going down, and I'm running out of fuel.
After a windy and difficult passage, I finally made landfall in Tonga, found a beautiful sheltered anchorage, and had a restful night.
Leaving this rather nice anchorage after a good night's sleep, boy was I tired. I've been at sea for 2 days, and that yesterday was a long day, beaten into the wind, trying to get up here. I just enjoyed it, and I was in two minds whether or not to hide up here, but I thought I'd better play safe with the authorities, because I just honestly, I wanted to sleep today. So I slept half the day. It's nearly 1 o'clock. I've now got to get through the reefs, up around this peninsula here behind me, into the main harbourage. Harbourage, is that a new word? I like that. Yeah, harbourage, harbour. There's a place called Big Mama's, which I've just been talking to another English yacht, and he says, yeah, get yourself down to Big Mama's. So I'm off to Big Mama's. I can't get any officials on the radio at all, so he said go down to Big Mama's, drop my hook, and he'll help me out with what I'm supposed to do to check in. It's a weekend, so it's going to cost me $100 or more extra US, because I've got to pay the staff apparently to come out on a Saturday. Tomorrow's Sunday, they're very religious. I'm happy if I can just do it on Monday, but I don't know. Anyway, I've got to concentrate on this. There's lots of reef under that bit over there that you can't see. It's low water at the moment, and when I got up this morning, I looked around, there's reef, there's rocks everywhere. Been a long day again. Another day of helming the boat by hand into the wind. It was my fault. I didn't realize just how big the distances are here. This whole atoll, it's a massive atoll really, and it's like 9 miles across. It's taken me nearly all afternoon to get across it, and at times it was so windy I was only doing 1.5 knots into the wind under engine, and again the wind directly in my face, so I couldn't put the sails up. There's another boat way behind me just come in the bay now. He's trying to get across. Got the main town across from me, and this Big Mama's anchorage. I'm not sure what to expect. I think it's like a yacht club, and they do burgers, which could be great. I'm not going to get the sign in today. By the time I get the anchor down, it's going to be late. Again, I'm rushing. The sky behind me is turning different color. The sun's going to be going down in a couple of hours, and I need to get the anchor down. The anchor's down at Big Mama's. I believe it's actually over there somewhere, and they do pizzas and burgers and stuff. It's Sunday. Whether they're open today or not, I don't know. But my friends who have just left told me nothing happens here on a Sunday. There's even a ship out there waiting at anchorage. He can't come in because nobody works around here on a Sunday, no dockers. Town's over there about a mile or so away, bit too far for Tiny Shaddy, but I believe there's a ferry boat that runs in the morning. I'm hoping I don't have to take the boat in to check in over there. Meantime, I'm incredibly tired. I've just had enough for now. I was actually going to move up a bit closer to the island when the other guys left, but I'm just quite happy to stay where I am. I could do with sorting the mainsail out. She looks a mess because that's the way it came down, and as you can see, it didn't come down easily or peacefully. It ripped again. This mainsail has just about had its day, I'm afraid, but it needs to last me another 1,000 miles to New Zealand. Will it do it? Can I fix it again? It's held together with duct tape. It's a bad, sad sail.
Just cleaning up on deck and yet a new arrival. It's a beautiful boat. I think I've seen him somewhere before. British registered. I hope he knows I'm in front of him. He's getting mighty close. As you can tell from this clip and the noise on the soundtrack, the wind just never stopped from the moment I arrived. The next day was different, so it was time to get in the dinghy and go ashore to check things out. This is the famous Big Mama's. I was yet to find out its delights, but for the moment, just a nice place to come and chillax. Unfortunately, after asking, I had to take the boat over to the main town. This was to check in, something I hadn't done yet. Managed to get through this narrow entrance. There was a little bit of wind that was pushing me sideways, but that wasn't a problem. What was a problem was the inner harbour. That was very, very small. And also this fishing boat that kept turning around inside the harbour and made my life difficult. Once through the small entrance into the inner harbour, I stopped at this quay, which is the customs quay, full of cockroaches, I'm told, so I closed all the portholes and hatches. The guys at the customs office and immigration were nice enough. Then it was time to reverse out and make my way back. They did have berths in the main harbour, but with the idea of cockroaches coming on board, I decided it was probably better off to stay out in the islands. Big Mama seemed the place to be, so I headed back in that direction.
Quite the day of it today. At last I managed to sign into Tonga officially. I always hate taking the boat into places I don't know. That's quite a narrow, small little harbour, and as you might be able to tell, it's a bit breezy today, and it was a very little narrow gap in the inner harbour there I had to moor against. Couldn't film it, there was too much going on, but some other cruisers helped me. I had two ribs on the side here pushing me, people on the shore taking my lines. I'm just watching there's a ship here. I think it's going to move in a minute. Do I need to be out of his way? I'm completely knackered, as we would say in England. I'm going back to Big Mama's. I managed to buy some eggs and some snacks and a few bits and pieces and some more milk. I'll go use the ferry. They have a ferry service. I'll go back in tomorrow maybe. Yeah, I thought so. He was moving. I had to stop filming quickly. I was in his way. He's a lot bigger than me. Going back to Big Mama's, and time for some rest and relaxation, I think. Yes, indeed.
The next day I decided to go back into town to do some exploring, but I left Shaddy back on the anchor, decided to take the ferry instead, let somebody else do the work. Tonga is unusual in that it's a monarchy. It has a king. There's a big sign up in the town which has been there since his last birthday. I reckon they're keeping it there until his next. Jesus also loves Tonga, apparently. And then I came across the Treasury building. I don't know if there's any money in there, but there certainly isn't any here. This is Verner Wharf. It had some foreign investment. It was going to be a super ship terminal, but it never happened. As you can see, it was never finished. Like many Polynesian islands, back in the day, it was dragged into the wars of the West. And there's remnants of that here with various monuments. This is the King's Palace, or it was. He's since moved away, but it's a beautiful building built at the turn of the last century. On the spick and spanness of the royal lawn, decided to find out where the real people hang out. Took a look at the local market, and boy, what a difference it was to the Marquesas of French Polynesia. This place was overflowing with fresh vegetables, produce and crafts. I love my trees, so when I came across this big fella, I was completely amazed. For a hot place, this tree certainly has grown some. It must be hundreds of years old. There were some celebrations at one of the government buildings, but compare that to this. I don't know what's happened here. There's a lot of half-derelict stuff around the island, probably hurricane damage. It was about this time that I craved some air conditioning, so I went to the Dateline Hotel, quite a famous place. They got some beautiful gardens round the back. Also, nice stuff in the foyer, including this, whatever that was, and some nice floor decorations. I love this. If I ever have a house, it's got to have this on the floor. That is so cool. That's kind of a map of the island. I think it's upside down. And Cook even came here to Nuka Alofa. After a quick visit to the Ding Dong Company, it was time to take the ferry back to the anchorage. In Tonga, there's no infrastructure to cater for the yachting fraternity. Cruisers have to find their own water. Luckily for me, my next-door neighbour was a friend. He invited me to have some of his water. He has a water maker on board that makes water, fresh drinking water, out of seawater. I'd known the guys since the Panama days, and we were constantly seeing each other in different parts of the world. The last time I saw them, John had come out in his dinghy to see me in the day that my engine had broken out in the Marquesas, nearly ending up on the rocks. When I got it started again, he came out to make sure I was safe. I owe him for that, and I also owe him for this. Water. I decided to put labels on the ones that came from his boat because it was good stuff. It was drinkable. You could use it for anything. Then it was time to stow it away under the seats until it was needed. Needless to say, when you're cruising places like the Pacific, in the middle of nowhere, having enough water on board is of the utmost importance, and this is a job that I took seriously. Time to get the dinghy on board. It was the end of another day. The weather wasn't so good the following day, so again to shore, found this place. People had told me about it. A little colonial type tea room that did English breakfasts. This is something I just had to check out. How quaint is this? Then there was more fruit and vegetable. I just love this place. You could just feed yourself on all kinds of beautiful fruits and vegetables. And I found this lady who did this chicken. I mean, just off the street. How yummy is that? Then I hung out with a friend of mine, Wes. This guy's a taxi driver. He helped me out. I lost my phone the day before. And then he asked if he and his daughters could come on board the boat.
My dinghy's too small. It's only for me. Unfortunately, if I had a big dinghy, I could get the girls in. I'd even get you in, big guy. Well, I'll do a little bit of shopping. Okay. My friend helped me out yesterday when I lost my phone. It's all very good fun.
You drop it somewhere?
Yeah, I dropped it. So anyway, I think we're all good.
While waiting for the ferry, I met this fellow. He wasn't too friendly, even though I did feed him the remains of my lunch. Dogs on Tonga tend not to be that friendly. Oh well. But I did miss the ferry, and then I had a problem getting back. I met some French people who had a very, very small dinghy. They said I could come with them, and it turned out to be a very cold, wet, and actually quite a frightening ride to get back. Those waves were pretty big, and we were in a very small boat. The next few days were pretty much the same thing. I was just getting used to having some great stuff to buy and eat. So back to town it was every so often. This time went with my friends John and Lorella from Imagination, and they had a much better and safer boat. So this is what I did. I went shopping, I hung out, life was good.
Does that have alcohol in it?
Down below it's nice and cozy. I'm getting all sorted ready for the night. I've got a tablet up on the top there which is receiving internet via a SIM card, a local SIM card. That's hotspotted to a computer that's down below here, and I'm currently uploading a video. While that's going on, it's curry night, so this is self-entertaining, I suppose you could call it. So I've got a curry and a movie tonight and a cold beer, and that's my entertainment, and that'll be my evening. So yeah, all is good, all is well with the world. And my friends are arriving tomorrow. Iris, the boat Iris is arriving. They're coming from the north of Tonga, and they'll be joining me tomorrow, which is great.
There it is, the main island. And there it is, the main city of, I don't know what it's called.